I've started practicing my painting and let me just talk you through what happened. So I made some thumbnail sketches, figured out a composition that I like, and then the thumbnail sketches that I made, I chose one of them that I thought would have the most oomph, like the most muchness, to call it that, and try to paint that as a practice painting, to figure out the colors even more, you know, just to practice. And I made a mess. I don't have the time to do another practice painting, so instead I wrote down some corrections for myself and I'm just going to start on the fancier paper. And you will get to see every single step of that. Wish me luck! I've been wanting to paint the cityscape for ages. What I would love to do is extract the feeling of a place. Instead, I get stuck on details like electrical wires, roof trimmings and, you know, stuff. But not this time, because this time I was prepared with a plan. After 3 hours of sketching, I believe that my sketch is done. Do we get more light like this? Yeah. So my sketch turned out to be a little bit more detailed than planned, but it's just that's the way it is. So now that I feel satisfied about the sketch, it is time to start painting. My plan was to shake off that sense of control with wet watercolor washes. I did want some bits to remain white, so I used masking fluid to make life a little easier on me. Here you can see that my first marks are going a little bit slow. That's because I'm trying not to lean on the paper. I always lean on the paper when I sketch with a pencil, and when painting that is just not practical, because before you know it your hand is covered in paint and your painting is ruined. But that is just a matter of practice, and later in the video you'll see that it's going a little bit better. City streets and buildings can reflect a summer sunrise beautifully, almost like magic. That magical feeling is what I wanted to recreate in this painting. Will I be able to pull it off? Well, just keep watching and you will see for yourself. The colors that I used were red, yellow and blue. And I allowed those to mix together on the paper however they wanted to. Watercolor has a will of its own and I am finally learning to get out of its way. The sky had reached the stage of good enough so I could start on painting the buildings. Again, beginning very carefully with making those yellow marks. But after that, I was able to tap into some form of flow state and let go of control. Finally! Seeing the paint mixed together on the paper was a little bit scary, but most of all it was a lot of fun to see. I did not expect the colors to mix up like this. To be honest, I don't think I knew what to expect to begin with. My mind was focused on feeling rather than thinking, if that makes any sense. When it was time to paint the road, I realized that I didn't really have a plan for how to do this. I had no idea how to start, so I figured that I could start with blue and then tone it down in the process. Guys, the sun is coming back and I'm just so happy. The snow is melting. I'm getting some energy again. And oh, winter is done. What about second winter? Shush, Elaine. We don't talk about second winter. I am now painting in the shadows, or at least that's how I started with my darker red. After a bit, I was just painting where I thought paint would be nice. You know, as one does. So this is what my desk looks like when painting. Would you like to see more of that? Feel free to let me know in the comments. The time has come to tone down that road, and I'm going to do that with the colors blue and red. Blue and red mixed together can become purple, but depending on your ratio, it can also become grey or black. Since I've had so much fun watching colors mix on the paper, I decided to continue with that. So I painted some strokes of blue and went over those with strokes of red and just allowed them to mix however they wanted, basically. That reminds me of something I've been wanting to tell you. A while ago, I heard some paint mixing advice that had been sticking around in the back of my mind without realizing that it was there. Until now. The advice was to always mix your watercolors when painting, so that your work would look unique. Using colors straight from the pan or tube was to be avoided if you wanted your work to stand out. Now, with a little bit of painting experience, I can say that this feels like silly advice and it made my paintings look muddy. But here comes a little quote from a famous painter named Piet Mondrian. The more basic the color, the more inward, the more pure. So here you can see that everyone has a different opinion, and in a way it was great advice because it did make me think about how I like my colors. I like my colors bright and vibrant. Others might like them differently. Taste has no rules. Just be you. With all that being said, let's get back to the painting process. I am carefully making my first marks with a charcoal pencil. Usually I would have gone for ink liners, but that really is because that's what I've seen other people do. With charcoal you can make marks that still, to a certain extent, can be erased. Since charcoal can be so smudgy, I figured that it would be a better idea to first get rid of that masking fluid. Later in this video you'll see more charcoal action. But now it is time to rub off that masking fluid and get a little bold. So the instructions on the masking fluid said to remove it within 24 hours. And I didn't know because, well, you know, I don't always read the instructions. But it was super easy to remove anyway, so I guess I was lucky there. What you see me use here is charcoal powder that came off of my pencil while sharpening it. I used an old watercolor brush to brush it out over the paper, and then I used a paper stump to make it look more smooth. This charcoal stuff gets very smudgy, and that's also the reason why I had to use a spray in the end to fix it all in place. This painting was never meant to be a realistic representation of a street. My goal was to play around with color while making a cityscape. And I really like how it turned out looking more like a spirit world than an actual world. Before I can show you the result, let's chat a little bit about how it went. I had so much fun painting this one. I had an idea in mind of how I wanted the colors to blend on the paper, but since I hadn't seen it happen before, it was a bit of a magical experience. So it was my first time using masking fluid, and it was my first time using charcoal combined with watercolor. Working with masking fluid was pretty cool because it allowed me to worry less about the parts I didn't know how to paint yet. I highly recommend combining watercolor and charcoal. I really like how the bright colors work together with the deep matte black. It's a great effect. And also you can erase charcoal a little bit very softly and then reveal what's underneath, almost like it's see-through. You can really play around with charcoal in ways that ink won't allow you. So I understand the appeal of ink with watercolor, the nice sharp lines that you can get with it, but if you have the chance, try charcoal. It's cool. Overall, I am super happy with how the painting turned out. I think that for my current skill level, it's not too bad. Well, that was all for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and then I will see you in the next video. Bye!